The following contains elements of horror that may be too intense for some. Viewer discretion is advised. Please help me. Please listen to this till the end. That's it. That's all I ask. I don't know what to do or where to turn. Please, just help me. That's all I ask. My name is Andrea, and I'm a single mother. I don't tell you this like it's some badge of honor, and I'm expecting cookies, milk, and chocolate-covered snowflakes like most of the others in my social group would. They want your pats on the back and recognition. I just want some of your time. I see motherhood as a burden. Necessary, yes, but still a burden. My son's name is Jesse. He's 11. That's 5th grade for all you math haters. Jesse started the 5th grade this year, like any other child would. There was a little bit of trepidation and lots of excitement. He was a happy-go-lucky sort of kid, full of life and energy. That all changed after he met Stan on Tuesday. Stan was a late addition to Jesse's class, a transfer student from another district. Jesse's teacher had sat Stan next to him. When I picked Jesse up from school on Tuesday, he told me that Stan was his new best friend. He wasn't acting like himself though. He was pale and sweaty. I took his temperature, but he wasn't running a fever. I asked about his day, and all he would tell me was that Stan was his new best friend. "Stan's my new best friend," Jesse would say. "I know. I can't wait to meet him," I'd say back. "Mom, Stan is great. You should meet him. He's my new best friend, the best in the world." We must have had this conversation 1,000 times at night. When I tucked Jesse into bed, he looked up at me with tears in his eyes. He put his little hand in front of his face and wiggled his index finger, telling me to come closer. I bent over him and he put his hands on either side of his mouth. You know, the way a little kid would do when they're telling you a secret. Well, I turned my head and he whispered something into my ear that chilled me. At the time, I didn't know why it chilled me, but it did. He whispered, "You believe me, right, Mom?" I sat back up and looked at him. "Believe you about what, honey?" "Stan," he said. "Stan's my best friend." I nodded and took his temperature once more. Again, he wasn't running a fever. I went to bed, but I couldn't really sleep that night. On Wednesday, when I pulled up to the school to drop him off, he got this really weird look on his face and told me he didn't want to go in. "Are you feeling sick?" I asked. "No," he said. He was chewing on his bottom lip like crazy. This was something else I'd never seen him do. "No, I need to go to school." He opened the car door and got out. No goodbye, no "I love you," nothing. He trudged up the front steps of the school with his head down. I let off the brake and turned away to drive to work. A little boy was standing in front of my car. 2 more seconds and I would have run him over. The boy was pale, with a mop of blonde hair that almost was white, and bright blue eyes. He knocked on the hood of my car twice, waved once, and walked up the stairs to school. When I picked up Jesse after school on Wednesday, he looked a lot better. He was a tiny bit paler than normal, but seemed happy. He told me all about his day. He told me about dinosaurs and music and math, and he told me about recess. And then after math period, we had recess. "Mom, you'll never guess what I did at recess." "Tell me," I said, smiling to myself as I was driving. "I'm thinking tag, football, keep away, all the things I remember the boys doing at recess when I was that age. Something benign, something normal." "I joined a church." I frowned at this. "A church? At recess?" Jesse nodded. "The Church of Stan." I thought it must be some sort of new make-believe game that the kids were playing. "What's the Church of Stan?" I asked. It's Stan's church, Mom. Jessie laughed like I was the silliest person in the world for asking that question. What do you guys do, though? As members. Lots of stuff. Today, we just listened to Stan talk. He was saying some funny words, and I got sleepy and dozed off. A bunch of us did. I pulled into the driveway at home, and we got out. Was that it? I asked. Things sounded weird for sure, but the kids didn't seem to be doing anything wrong. Stan gave us flyers, too. Jessie pulled out a crinkled up piece of paper and handed it to me. It was a piece of manila paper with 3 words written on it in black marker. Church of Stan. Again, weird, but nothing wrong. I just thought the boys were playing some make-believe. I was wrong. When I picked Jessie up from school yesterday, I could tell that something was very wrong with him. He looked panicked and scared. What's going on, honey? I asked, reaching out to feel his forehead. No fever. We played the soul game today. Jessie's head was on a swivel. He couldn't sit still. He kept looking all around as we headed home. The soul game? I asked. Jessie just nodded and tried to keep looking at everything. Beads of sweat dotted his upper lip. What's the soul game? I asked. Jessie shook his head no and said nothing. Jessie, what's the soul game? I asked. I told him I didn't want to, but he said he wouldn't be my friend if I didn't play. Who wouldn't be your friend? Where were the teachers? Jessie started breathing harder, but still answered. It happened in the church, he said, then whispered, Teachers aren't allowed in the church. The Church of Stan? I asked. Jessie nodded. A tear slipped down his cheek. What's the soul game, Jessie? I'm your mother. You tell me right now and I'll take care of everything, I said. I can't tell you, Mom. I can't. The rules are bad. They're so bad. What about Stan? I asked. Will Stan tell me the rules? No, Jessie screamed. They scared me half to death. Don't ask him the rules, please, Mom. Don't, please. I pulled into the driveway, scared and confused. Promise me, Mom. Promise me, promise me, promise me. Please, please, promise me. Jessie was bawling now, terrified. I took him into my arms and rocked him. I hadn't rocked him like that since he'd been in kindergarten. He fell asleep in my arms and I carried him inside. I took him straight to his room and got him ready for bed. He just needs sleep, I kept telling myself. All he needs is sleep. I put him to bed and ate dinner alone. I checked up on him around 9 when I went to bed. He seemed to be sleeping well, so I decided to go to sleep. I woke up to him screaming at the top of his lungs 18 minutes after midnight last night. I ran to his room, but he wasn't in bed. I turned on the light and Jessie came flying out of the closet like something was chasing him. He lashed onto my leg and kept screaming. I tried to calm him down and ask him what was wrong at the same time. He wasn't making any sense. He kept screaming about the soul game. It was impossible. I kept asking him what it was, but he wouldn't tell me. I tried to put him back to bed, but he wouldn't have any of it. Finally, I took him to my room, and he slept on my bed. He fell right asleep. I was lying on my side watching him, stroking his hair, when his eyes popped open and he stared me right down. I'll tell you the rules after school tomorrow, lady, he said, then closed his eyes. What's going on with my kid? In the darkness, I stared at the ceiling for a long time before rolling over to my side and staring into the bathroom. You know how when you're at the edge of sleep and sometime your leg will kick and jerk you awake? Or you'll imagine you're falling, or that you've just tripped or something and you're jerked awake? That happened to me all night. Only I kept being ripped from sleep by seeing something in the doorway to the bathroom. Every time, my eyes would start to slip shut. I'd see the dark outline of something large in the doorway and jerk awake. Of course, nothing would be there, and I would start falling asleep again. The outline would disappear in the doorway once more, but it would be closer to me, like it had taken a baby step. Over and over, this happened until morning. This morning, on the way to school, Jesse seemed out of it, lethargic. I felt the same way. I was even more exhausted. I thought of asking Jesse about what he said right before he fell asleep, but couldn't. I was afraid it would make him go into hysterics again, so I left it alone. I drove him to school and he didn't say a word the whole time. He was acting like a robot, listless, unemotional. He'd vomited in class. When I picked him up, he was the same. I asked several questions, but he only gave me grunts in response. The plan at home was to get him changed out of his dirty clothes and then take him to the doctor. He didn't say anything until we pulled into the driveway. "Can Stan come over today?" he asked. He stared out the windshield at the garage door. "You're not feeling well, honey. Do you really want him to come over?" I wanted to meet this kid, but it didn't sound like Jesse wanted him to come over. I, however, wanted to get to the bottom of things. "Yes," Jesse said. "Okay, do you have his parents' number?" I asked. He already asked his parents, and they said it was okay. We have to wait till he's out of class, and I'd like to talk to his parents. "Okay." Jesse got out of the car and walked into the house. "You have their number?" I asked as I shut the door. "No." I started to ask him how I was supposed to ask his parents or talk to them if I didn't have their number, but somebody knocked on the door. I was still standing right next to it. I opened the door, and standing at my front step was the pale little boy with the blue eyes and mop of white blonde hair that I had almost run over on Wednesday. A little girl stood next to him with the same complexion. "Yes." "Hi, Driz," the little boy said. "Is Jesse home?" The little boy standing on my front porch shouldn't have known that name. It was my nickname from college. "No," I said. "It's fine," the little girl said. "My name is Devin, and you already know my brother's name." "Stan," I said. The little girl covered her mouth and giggled. Stan smiled and shrugged. "It's really quite simple. Rule 1, don't walk past mirrors in the dark. Rule 2, don't leave any doors open when you go to bed tonight. Ask your son what Rule 3 is, and remember, a creak means you're falling behind. A rustle means you're almost lost. When the lights go down, hopefully you won't see the dark shadow standing in the corner of the room. Hopefully you won't hear it breathing as your eyes shut and you begin to drift off. If you hear a bang, well, hopefully you never hear a bang." Stan turned and walked away with his sister. I stared at them both and shook my head. I wouldn't play their stupid game. I walked into my house and found Jesse sitting at the kitchen table crying. "What's wrong?" I asked. "I heard a bang." My mouth went dry. "When does this game end?" I asked. "It doesn't," he whispered. "It never ends." My heart started beating faster. "What's the third rule, Jesse?" His face fell, and he sucked in a deep breath. "Rule 3. Knowing all 3 rules makes you a player." My stomach dropped. "What happens if you lose?" "When it's dark, you'll hear them coming. They like to let you know when they're getting close." "Who?" "Stan and Devin," Jesse said. "They'll reach out through the mirrors or open doorways to drag you through." "How do you win?" "You win if you tell more people the rules than the person who told you does." Like I said, I'm so sorry. But thanks for helping, really. I'm going to enjoy my newfound freedom, and I hope you enjoy your night. Give Stan and Devin my best.